Being attractive is a gift and a curse. I'll say it again. Being attractive is a gift and a curse. A lot of people don't look at the negatives that come with it because a lot of people are upset, oh, this and that. And again, we all agree that life is unfair, right? Some people got luckier at the card draw than others, especially in this category, because you can't control everything. And there's only so much you can control about your attractiveness, your facial features, your height, right? And all that type of stuff. Or maybe you had weird body symmetry. I don't know, right? For those people who hit that golden ratio and that are attractive, you hit the genetic lottery. Congratulations. There's good and bad that comes with it. Like, as an example, a gift that comes with being attractive is a lot more attention. I know that when I go out, especially if I dress up, whether I dress up or not, I get a lot more attention than most people. It's very difficult for me, even now being 40 plus, to go out. Like, let's say I just go out like in a suit, not even a fancy suit, and I run errands or I'm anywhere public. I typically will always either get approached by somebody, someone will make a comment, something will happen. Whether old or young, somebody will say something, right? Now, what people don't see from the opposite side of it is, although it's a gift and you're going to get a lot more attention and comments, a lot of times that just because you're getting attention doesn't mean it's all good and wholesome. A lot of times that attention is negative. I've had a lot of people go out of their way to try to hate on me too. Like, so something that I've gotten before, and although this is extreme and kind of rare, but I will get it. I know because there's been moments where I've dressed up super nice, right? I look good, I smell good, and I'll get the random comment from somebody, oh, you're gay and this and that. And it kind of cracks me up because I would know immediately, okay, these people are insecure that in this environment, I'm getting a lot of attention and looks. So they have to attempt to say or do something in order to try to, degrade me, right? So I just laugh when that type of stuff happens. But that's an example of, within an environment, I'll get a lot of attention and eyeballs and comments. Yet at the same time, you'll get that other extreme, which is hate, or people who are jealous, or who will throw attention at you, but negative, or attention meant to cause harm or be ill about it, right? So some people will say, well, this and that. Well, you're attractive, you're getting attention. Look, all I'm doing here is taking an objective look at it just so people see everything that comes with it, right? Now, with that attention too comes people who try to take advantage of you with that attention. Because again, a lot of people are out there, not a lot, not everybody, but there's a percentage of people who are out there looking to take advantage, right? Another one that comes with this thing is opportunities. Sometimes because of attractiveness, you'll get opportunities. Between age 17, 18 till about my mid-20s, even into my late 20s, really, I got approached multiple times to do like modeling type of stuff. I remember one time I was 19, helping a friend do security for some event where there were models. And one of the makeup artists and then one of the talent managers approached me like, oh, have you ever thought about modeling? And at the time I was so focused on sports because I followed a basketball career. I played professionally and I was overseas. I really didn't care. And in my mind at that time, I wasn't looking at myself like I do now. Like, oh, okay, well, people consider me attractive. I was like, what the fuck are these people asking me to be a model? But after the third or fourth time that I was asked, it clicked, right? I didn't understand it back then because I was younger. So you'll get that, right? Now, remember, with that though, the curse is, now you're a currency to them. And attractiveness itself, especially in that world of being a model or the looks category, is a depreciating asset for men and women. So now you're this object that is your value. So although you're a person and you're a human being, you're not really being appreciated in most of those circumstances as a person compared to the average person. You're seen as that object. So as long as you're good for business, you're going to be treated well. The moment you start declining or your looks start fading or something happens, you're discarded of as if you were a piece of meat or whatever it is. And that's kind of the dark side of this thing that a lot of times people don't really look at. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is a lot of attractive people are naive to this. I figured this out a long time ago. So although I would notice sometimes that people would give me attention because of my height or my looks, I never fell prey to know that these certain people actually like me for me. I was just an asset for them, or I was helping them with an ad campaign or whatever it was. I never fooled myself into thinking, oh, these people are my friends and they care about me. I said, these people just like me because I'm tall or because I fit a particular look or whatever it is, right? Like I wasn't, but a lot of people get taken advantage of. Then later on, 10, 20 years later, when the attractiveness is gone and they're left with nothing, they're like, well, I had no friends and nobody cared about me. Well, no shit. That's the gift and the curse of being attractive, is you'll have that, but a lot of times it's going to lack substance. And that's why people really, especially if you're younger and you're attractive, maybe watching this video, you need to understand the real world and how it works. You're in that upper 10, 20% of looks or attractiveness, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you're setting yourself up not only for current circumstances, but for the future. A lot of these people that you think are real and that you're good friends and like you for you, no, they just like you because you're a pretty face or you have a six pack or you have muscles or whatever it is. So you need to be able to, to see this thing properly. So there's this attention and kind of pedestalizing that comes with it, but not for what you think it is. It's not because of you and your character and who you are as a person. It's just because you're a pretty face or you have a nice body. And this is why even early on, I made sure that as a person, I never relied on that, right? I wanted to develop my intellectual capacity. I wanted to be smart. I wanted to be physically capable. I wanted to have talent. I wanted to work hard for everything that I would achieve because I knew if I banked on that natural talent, it's no different than an athlete who just banks on natural talent, right? That'll only take you so far. You have to work to develop that gift. That's what will turn you into the Kobe Bryant or the Michael Jordan, right? And the curse within that too is people become reliant on it. They use that as a currency, and that becomes their only currency. And that will cause sometimes these attractive people to fall into the category that people say, well, they're shallow, or they're a meathead, or they're dumb, or they're pretty, but they lack substance. They don't have personality. Well, that's because in those cases, they never had to develop it, right? We hear this a lot with like the super attractive people. Like, oh, and it's not all of them, right? But you'll hear this a lot, especially men talking about women, like, oh, she's a ditz. She's, the valley girl, the blonde, right? Like, where she's pretty, but she's kind of dumb, right? That's like an inside joke that we'll have with each other. That's what we're referring to. The people who, again, use their looks as a currency, and because they knew that's all they needed to like show up and get attention or get the opportunity, they never developed anything else. And it's interesting because later on in life, sometimes I know the men can relate to this. The girl that was like the ugly duckling in high school who then becomes attractive later, well, she becomes really, really almost a prize in our eyes because she was never treated as such. She developed a good personality, but then she kind of was a late bloomer later on. So now she has a good heart, a good personality, and she's developed. But now she kind of grew up into being pretty. And a lot of men will end up liking that girl 5 or 10 years later out of high school because, she got the best of both worlds. She developed later in the looks department. And then, she had the personality and the depth that a lot of times with the attractive girl, you never saw. I know it's kind of a tangent, but that's the gift and the curse aspect of it is the person will lack, real, true personal development and inner development, right? They'll just be, again, a pretty face or somebody to adore from afar. But once you get up close and you engage with them, you realize there's no substance there, right? Another one is a lot of people who are attractive, and this kind of ties into the previous point, but it's different. Because of that attention, they can develop a particular level of confidence around people, right? However, a lot of times, the curse that comes with it too is you develop a lot of those people will develop a level of arrogance because they become so accustomed to being pedestalized by people that they'll cross that line where now they expect to be treated like they're special, or they expect to be treated more than everybody else. Now, because of my upbringing, I don't think I ever really fell prey to that where I think I'm special. I've always considered myself really down to earth, approachable, especially when this whole social media thing started, right? I wanted to make sure that what I projected on camera was the same thing you would experience in person. My family, real humble beginnings. Most of my family's from South America. I never really experienced people who were like big-headed and all that. And I never understood it. And I felt like people were trying to be that way. But I understand for that hyper attractive person who maybe is used to having the red carpet rolled out. I never really, because I don't consider myself at that level. I didn't get treated like that in mass like they did. Maybe I never developed it because I was never at that extreme. But I've seen that where now they think they're better than everybody else just because they have a prettier face or they're taller, which again, that becomes the curse because had they not been that attractive, who knows if they ever would have developed that level of ego or arrogance. Now, part of that could be stemmed to the previous point where they were never really forced to develop their personality and have moments of introspection, right, and true personal development. So maybe that's what led to it, right? So it's like this slippery slope where all these things start kind of stacking, right? Another one that I would say, the gift and the curse is, again, you get the attention and you get opportunities, but a lot of these people end up, again, not all, but a good chunk of them will expect that to carry them through everything. I think this is especially the case for some women, where they'll expect that look or that sexiness or that, I'm attractive to open up every door and get them wherever it is that they want to go and get every favor handled for them, get them every promotion. So a lot of them will end up not really becoming the best version of themselves or accomplishing everything they want in a career because they expected just their looks or attractiveness to take them to the top when you need a lot more than that to take it to where it is that you want to take it. Like, I look at myself and what I've accomplished is being like 95 to 99% my hard work and effort and development of skill, and not just because I was tall or whatever. Like, my accomplishments as an athlete had nothing to do with my looks. Sure, the height helped, I'm 6'2", but even for basketball, that's small, right? But other stuff too, my growth on social media, okay, maybe me having a more attractive face or physique led to more people clicking on my videos, but I can't say that 95% of it was that. Maybe that was 5 or 10%. The other 90% was my ability to communicate, my ability to deliver on camera, my personal development, what I shared, the journey, the hard work, the consistency, the work ethic, the philosophy behind it. That was the lion's share of it. Maybe the attractiveness was like the sprinkles on top, we can say. So sure, I'm not going to say or deny that it didn't help me, but we can't say that that was the basis for my success. I don't have people just watching my videos because they drool, oh, he's so attractive, right? Because again, I don't even consider myself that top, like, oh, I look so good, right? I just know because of my height and my physique, it kind of put me up there. So those people who fall into that category who expect that maybe get into the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and maybe they only got to a 5 out of 10 in accomplishment because, again, they fell short thinking that attractiveness was all they needed to bring to the table, when in fact they needed, so much more. And I see this especially because this is the next point, the gift and the curse, is I see this a lot in relationships. If attractiveness is the only currency in relationships, well, the sex and the attractiveness is cool, but there's no substance, right? So I think what happens with a lot of these people, both men and women, but especially women, is they become sex objects to people. I know a lot of connections that I had with women were purely physical and sensual like that. Like, I've had tons of experiences like that with women, but I was smart enough to know this isn't going to go anywhere. This is just, we connect, we vibe, we hook up, that's it. And maybe it continued, maybe it didn't. But I was smart enough to know that. A lot of them are sitting there in their 30s and 40s like, how come I never got in a relationship, whatever? Because again, that's all they had. There was no deeper connection, right? There was no basis or understanding of a relationship. It was all about, I'm hot, you're hot, or I'm hot and this and that, and it's the sex and the connection, but there was nothing meaningful brought forth after that. Again, this happens to men and women. I think more women, but especially men. Because I know some of my friends that are, ex-professional basketball players or people who are attractive, who to this day, they've hooked up a ton, but they've either had very few or no relationships at all, and they've just been with a ton of women, right? But it never clicked for them. I said, bro, you have to go about this thing a little bit differently if you really want a relationship, right? It's not just about the girl, it's about you too and how you go about it, right? And the type of girl that you go after and vice versa, right? The type of men that these women are going after. And it's a gift in the sense that, again, you'll have access to the opposite sex more than the average person, but in the end, is it really fulfilling? And is it really what you want 10, 20, 30 years later? And I think a lot of people kind of fall into that conundrum where that it's like a double-edged sword, many of these things. And I've seen it happen a lot. Again, I luckily, because of what I learned and just life experience in general, and really being more astute to this stuff and taking a step back and analyzing it, right? I was able to see these things early on. So even in my 20s, I was already realizing a lot of these chicks that I'm getting with, they're just physically attracted to me, right? Like, it's not like they're looking at me like, oh, I want this dude to be my husband. It's just, oh, I think you're good looking or whatever, and we hook up and that's it. But I was never left empty like, oh man, I thought we were going to go somewhere. I wasn't that naive, That's definitely a big one, I think, for a lot of people in relationships. You have to bring something to there's a difference between hooking up and having sex and having relationships. And for the attractive people, I think, again, the gift and the curse and the double-edged sword is they'll have access to the opposite sex at a much higher level than other people. Again, but it doesn't guarantee success long-term. It's just short-term, right? And I think that's where we really have to take a deeper look into it and say, whoa, this isn't what I wanted. Like, I thought it was, but it's not, right? It's kind of funny to look at it now, looking back, because I've had a lot of experiences like that, and it's interesting. And in that mix, I've had a ton of longer relationships. My last relationship was about 9 years, almost a decade. So But I've seen and learned how to move and how to be, and understand that there's a lot more to this game than just conventionally being attractive, right? Like there's so much more to it. What's up, buddy? So there's a lot more we can unpack about this subject. I didn't really intend for this video to be like a teaching thing, even though I kind of talked about it. Again, I don't consider myself, oh, I'm so hot and this and that. Not at all. I just know that the experiences that I've had and what I've done, I know I'm in a particular category, and I can speak to most of it from experience, not maybe the extreme examples, because I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself a top 0.5% or top 1%er in that category per se, as being like the world's sexiest man or anything like that. But everything that I described in this video, as you get to those extremes, those experiences are going to be more intense and more extreme themselves. And those people and those situations, I think, just will not be relatable to the average person. But from my perspective, those are some of the things that I feel, and there's more, right? But some that I wanted to share that I think are important, that, again, whether you are attractive conventionally or not, it's just something you need to understand, because regardless of what group that you're in, unattractive or attractive, everyone has their gift and their curse, right? And it's just understanding where you're at. And I think the key from this video is understand where you're at and then move accordingly based on what you want and where you want to go. If you're attractive and you want to hit this road, move accordingly. If you're not attractive and you want to hit this road, move accordingly. That's really what it is, because there's only so much we can do, and life is life. Because the main thing that I want to wrap this video up with is we have to understand that what I described in this video, attractiveness, there's a rating. I know we live in the snowflake Disney fairy tale world. Well, oh, everybody's beautiful. No, it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry. Some people are ugly. Some people are beautiful. A lot of people are average. That's just what it is. We have to stop getting offended at the truth and understand that that's the world that we live in. And generally speaking, people are going to put numbers and rankings on things. And we have to stop being snowflakes and complaining about that and just understanding where we are. So if even the world said, Bryan, you're a 6, cool, then I'll accept it and I'll live my life as a 6 and say, I'm going to move accordingly. Or if I was a 9 or a 1 or a 2, I would recognize where I'm at. If I want to improve where I can improve, I would. And then I would live my life and say, I'm here and I want to get to there. This is how I have to move, and you move. We don't sit, we don't complain, and we don't do what's happening now in the world, where we try to redesign and talk people into, no, that's not attractive. You should like me for this. You're not going to change human nature. And I know this type of stuff that I say offends people, and it's one of the reasons that I was kind of deplatformed, but we got to get with the program, y'all. You're not going to change the rankings for how people are attractive. Those are already set, and it is what it is. Just accept it, right? If I was born 5'3" and I was butt ass ugly, okay, that's what it is. I'm still going to make my mark and do what I do. Maybe in the next lifetime, if there is one, I'll be that, and then I can move accordingly and make my new YouTube channel and talk about it, right? I don't know. But I don't want to harp on this point too long, but it has to be understood. That's what it is. So move accordingly, understand what it is. But those are some of the gifts and the curse that I can say of being attractive, in today's modern world. And navigating it has always been interesting to me. And just discussing these topics has always been interesting to me too. It's funny on this channel how I'm still having my essence of like mindset, personal development, sales, real estate. But whenever I make these videos about men and women, they seem to get a lot more attention for whatever reason. Maybe because it's a hot topic right now or whatever. But I wanted to add this now because I had to make a new channel, and now I'm just going to do what I want. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about, because doing it the right way, I still got shunned and canceled. So now we're going to be no holds barred. All right. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.